August 1st, 1944, under the heavy, suffocating blanket of World War II's twilight, a fierce explosion of human defiance erupted across the streets of Poland's capital. At precisely 5 p.m., known to history as WWII, the clandestine Polish Home Army initiated a massive, highly coordinated revolt against the brutal German occupation of Warsaw. This was a deeply heroic, yet profoundly desperate attempt by a proud populace to liberate their beloved city from years of tyrannical oppression, timed to seize control before the advancing Soviet forces arrived on the eastern bank of the Vistula River. What began as a synchronized strike across the city's key districts quickly dissolved into a brutal, epic struggle for national survival. No one in the resistance command could have predicted the sheer ferocity of the ordeal that lay ahead. This fateful afternoon marked the opening chapter of 63 days of unrelenting block-by-block combat, a monumental operation that stands to this day as one of the most significant, inspiring, and deeply tragic resistance efforts of the entire Second World War. The monumental scale of this urban offensive, we must closely analyze the meticulous planning and strategic calculations behind the uprising. The Home Army was not a loose band of scattered partisans. It was a highly organized, disciplined national military force operating underground. For years, they had secretly cataloged weapon caches, mapped out German garrison positions, and trained thousands of young men and women for the eventual day of national liberation. The entire strategy was built upon a profound, overriding hope for immediate liberation. The resistance planners operated in tight, continuous coordination with the Polish government in exile based in London, aiming to establish a sovereign, legitimate Polish administration inside the capital the moment the occupiers were pushed out. The strategic timing of the uprising was directly linked to the broader geopolitics of the war. As the massive Soviet lines rapidly approached the city from the east, the Home Army Command realized they faced a narrow, high-stakes window of opportunity. They needed to strike hard and fast to defeat the retreating German forces, securing the capital independently to ensure Poland's future sovereignty. In the exhilarating opening days of the campaign, this strategy yielded spectacular, inspiring results, as civilian volunteers and armed youth successfully recaptured entire neighborhoods, turning the heart of Warsaw into a powerful bastion of absolute defiance. But as the days stretched into weeks, the initial euphoria of the uprising faced unimaginable, crushing odds. The entire operational plan had relied on the assumption that the approaching Soviet forces would continue their forward drive and cross the river to support the insurrection. Instead, the Soviet advance came to a sudden, inexplicable halt. Soviet support entirely failed to materialize, leaving the Polish resistance completely isolated, just miles away from safety. This silence on the Eastern Front unleashed a terrifying catastrophe. The German High Command reorganized its forces, deploying elite units to execute a brutal, systematic suppression of the uprising. Lacking heavy armor, anti-tank weapons, and regular resupply, the Home Army was forced into a grueling war of attrition. They fought through basements, scrambled across rooftops, and used the city's labyrinth of sewers to retreat and launch surprise counterattacks. The price of this defiance was staggering. The occupation forces practiced an unyielding scorched earth policy, methodically flamethrowing and dynamiting street after street, resulting in the total destruction of the historic city. Furthermore, the resistance was effectively abandoned by regional powers as geopolitical calculations overrode humanitarian intervention. Allied airdrops were heavily restricted, and without any heavy support, the 63-day struggle became a lonely monument of immense human sacrifice, as the civilian population bore the devastating brunt of a total imperial crackdown. On October 2, 1944, out of ammunition, starving, and buried under the rubble of their own city, the remaining leaders of the Home Army were finally forced to surrender. But while the physical battle was lost and the capital lay entirely in ashes, the spirit that drove the insurrection remained completely unbroken. Over the decades, the memory of the Warsaw Uprising transformed into a permanent, unshakable landmark for Polish national identity and global resistance efforts. It became an enduring proof that a nation's desire for freedom and self-determination cannot be permanently erased by military suppression or political abandonment. Following the end of the global war, the survivors and the next generations embarked on an extraordinary journey, meticulously rebuilding Warsaw from its literal ashes to replicate its historic architecture. Today, the immense sacrifice of the Home Army and the civilian population is honored across Poland with absolute reverence. Every year on August 1st at exactly 5 p.m., the entire city of Warsaw brings its traffic, sirens, and daily life to a complete silent standstill for 1 minute. A powerful, unifying act of remembrance, ensuring that the world will never forget the raw courage of 1944. The Warsaw Uprising of 1944 remains to this day one of the most powerful, essential, and sobering chapters of World War II history. It stands as a timeless historical lesson on the absolute limits of human endurance, the high price of political betrayal, and the unyielding beauty of an uncompromising fight for liberty. As we look back at this epic chapter of defiance from the perspective of modern history, it forces us to confront fundamental questions about the nature of sovereignty. How do you assess the raw, complex role of local resistance movements within the broader, overarching context of national liberation and international geopolitics? Can a nation's freedom truly be secured from the ground up when global powers choose silence? We want to hear your analytical insights and unique perspectives, so please share your thoughts in the comments section down below. If you found this comprehensive historical breakdown valuable, please hit that like button, share this video to spread the memory of the fallen, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel to join us for more deep dives into the epic moments that have shaped our shared human past. Thank you for watching, stay informed, and we will see you in the next video.